Hey, coaches. So today we're going to emphasize the importance of nervous state coaching. And it's something we've talked about already in the program, but now that we are looking at assessments and interviewing, it becomes far more important. The ability to maintain self control throughout a coaching session is critical. One session that is out of control and where the coach is impacted by the nervousness can cause a coaching relationship to fail. Failure is a part of the coaching experience, but coaches do need to be aware that a poor experience can lead to poor outcomes for them as the coach. And of course, it's not a great experience for the client. So, how do we do our very best to serve our members when we are nervous? Well, nervousness isn't something that we can just get rid of or avoid. It's not something that we don't experience if we're well rested or we feel well prepared, because sometimes in a session, something happens. Technology fails, the client challenges us in a way we've never been challenged before, or we are stepping into a risk that we've never experienced, a new company we'd be interested in serving with, or a new level of client, or a different kind of client that challenges us, has a different kind of personality and energy about them. While we can point to those outside factors as the cause, in reality, the coach is the performer. We need to be ready. And the best way to be ready is to regularly step in and leverage nervous state coaching, to find ways to make ourselves nervous and to focus on our recovery process so that we can recover when we are in any old coaching session, interview, or assessment. Before we look at practicing nervous state coaching, we need to look at what the overall practice of recovery should look like. It starts with noticing your tells. As you work with your own assessor, make sure that you look for patterns. I do appreciate some sort of data-driven approach with assessments. That's what we use in our organization. And with that assessment, you want to look for your telling words or your telling movements, body language, or the things that you generally do with your coaching questions or filler words as you are stepping into a nervous state. Mine is to say so at the beginning of every question. I know that I'm nervous when I'm saying so. Other coaches might ask a lot of closed questions when they're nervous, even though their demeanor is okay, even though their presence is still warm. Some coaches in an assessment, you can watch them, and I've said it in another video, you can watch them, and without hearing the recording, you see the nervousness in their shallow breathing. Whatever your tell is, you need to study it. You need to know that part of yourself because it's telling you something. It's telling you that you're both excited about the potential for this opportunity and you're nervous that it's going to go wrong. A lot's at stake and you recognize it. So in order to do your very best, you need to be aware of when you feel that so that you can actually begin the recovery process. Not apologizing overmuch, not focusing the problem of your nervousness on yourself within the session or calling attention to yourself in your coaching conversation, but rather pausing and recovering. Now, the way that we recover is to oftentimes allow for a deep breath. And we might even stage this as part of the coaching experience to acknowledge, I'm noticing there's a lot at stake. I'm feeling it. And as your coach, I think it'd be valuable for both of us maybe to take a pause and take a deep breath. You might practice quick diaphragmatic breathing, where you breathe from the stomach. That's how I say it. Breathe fully, not upper chest breathing, but lower chest breathing. A couple of those breaths, that can help. The other aspect that helps the recovery process, the other practice, is to take a moment to reflect on what is significant about your background, about your ability, what you have been able to experience in the past, a great moment in your past with coaching where it went very well, or more importantly, where you have recovered before. And I would encourage you to, and we'll talk about this in a bit, I would encourage you to consider those moments in your life and to write them down, to collect them, be ready to play the tape. Anytime you've experienced a coaching session where you're really nervous and you feel it, you know it, you see your tells, you pause, you breathe, you recover. Remember those times. Have it as a quick memory. Maybe associate it with a word that you can say to yourself. Say that to yourself and move forward. You are capable of recovery. You've demonstrated in the past because you have that memory. Remember it and move forward. Again, breathe, remember, move forward. And how do you move forward? So this third part is to move forward by following the coaching process. The client might be complaining that they don't feel like this session is working for them. We don't change the coaching process, but we change our approach within the session. And that's really important because the coaching process is adaptive. So if a client is bringing up that concern or if something went wrong, we take a moment and reflect with the client to see how we can adjust the experience for their benefit. We check back in on where we are in relation to the original agenda. We might even need to take a full step back and reflect on, before we go further, I want to just take a moment, if that's okay with you, to reflect on where our work needs to go as a whole. So a few weeks ago, you said that you wanted to go this direction, and now I'm recognizing I might have misunderstood your intentions for this coaching. And would it be okay if we took just the next 5 minutes to reset our expectations? So reset expectations around the coaching relationship as a whole, revisit the agenda outcome for this individual session and where we are along with that, checking in with the client for direction, or offer an opportunity to recenter with the client and talk about your intentions as a coach. And with that, we practice good direct communication. We highlight what's going on. We don't play a game that the client doesn't know. We let them know the game that we will be playing. Client, I'm noticing what's going on here. I think this would be whatever it is. I think this is the best option for us so that we make the most of the session. Would you be okay if we took that direction? Or we can just say, I think as your coach, this would be the best direction to take. I think it'd be best for us to reflect on the agenda and reset expectations for the session. I think it'd be good for us to take 30 seconds to recenter and then move on from there. I think it'd be good to pause and talk about the nature of coaching before we go any further to make sure we are on the same page with expectations with one another. Overall, though, the coaching process works. Whether or not this client is ready for it is kind of outside the scope of that individual session. You do your very best following the general coach process, the general coaching session structure, doing your best to apply your skills at the ICF with the ICF competencies in mind and serve your client as best you can. Sometimes it will still go wrong, but your ability to notice when you're nervous, to recover with breathing and remembering your experience in the past, offering a moment to reflect with the client, or to take time to just recover inside yourself and follow that standard coaching process will help you get back on track and do your very best. After a session, when you felt nervous, I would encourage you to write some things down. What did you learn from the experience? Where did you notice things go a bit haywire? And what might have been the main trigger for that experience? As you collect these ideas and reflect on them, anytime you have those nervous experiences, you might be able to find a pattern. And knowing that pattern will help you be more prepared for that type of experience in future. Now, how do you practice nervous state coaching? A great way to do that is to record your sessions, knowing that you might share it with an assessor. A lot of people say they don't prefer recording their sessions because it makes them nervous. I tell my coaches in training, record yourself knowing it makes you nervous. That's a great benefit of recording yourself. It does change the dynamic for the session as the coach is nervous around that recording. But the more the coach is comfortable with it, including the client and whether or not they keep the recording or not, the more it's just a natural part of the experience. You don't need to record every session, but recording sessions for the purpose of experiencing some nerves is a great way to step into that space. Another great way to practice nervous coaching is to practice in a triad of individuals working together. That's what we do in our breakout sessions in our practice. But there is a challenge in a coach training where midway through the training, it's more comfortable. You know these people. So you might want to find a couple more practice buddies to work with so that you can work in a triad with people who are new to you. Another thing you can do is you can have the third person in the room come off video and stare at you while you're coaching. Having that observer visible to you is unnerving. Perfect. That's what we want. We want to practice our nervous state coaching to recognize that I'm nervous, breathe, recover, move forward with the coaching process. One other thing that you can do is consider anytime you are working with that new client, with a client that is challenging you, to do that reflection and to go into future sessions having played the tape, reminding yourself of how you've moved past, through, and succeeded with those types of sessions. It's a great thing to experience coaching in a nervous state when you leverage it as a growth opportunity. And thank you for coaching. Thank you for growing and seeing each of these kinds of experiences as challenges for yourself so that you serve your coaching clients better.